Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Lance Schuttler. But first I've got a few announcements. Forbidden Knowledge News is of course available always on Rokfin, Minds, Odysee, Rumble, all podcast platforms. Go check out Rokfin. This is where you get our premium content. You also get all the premium and free content from every creator on Rokfin for only $10 a month. You can also sign up for free and get all the free content. You just go to rokfin.com/FKN Plus or click that link in the description. Check out our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. It's also the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. You're going to find podcasts there like Raised by Giants, The Ancient Gift, Inception, Understanding Propaganda, Quantum Guide Show, Day Zero, Going Down the Rabbit Hole, and more. Finally, we started production on the Forbidden documentary. We're very excited about this. This summer, we hope to be traveling across the country, talking with possibly as many of you as possible. If you would like to help with this production, you can go to supportfkn.com. And if you make a donation through there, you're going to get access to some fantastic information that Cory is including and not including in his new book upcoming about the JFK assassination. Today, I want to welcome back to the show Lance Schuttler. He graduated from the University of Iowa with a degree in health science and has extensive experience and knowledge in health, wellness, nutrition, and supplement industries. He co-founded and is CEO of Ascent Nutrition, while also owning EMF Harmonized, an electromagnetic field protection technology company that is dedicated to helping improve people's lives. Lance, welcome back. How you doing?
Good, Chris. How about you?
I'm doing excellent, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's really great to talk with you again. I'm super excited to be working as an affiliate with Ascent Nutrition. This is going to be an amazing partnership. Everything that we've come to learn in the past 2 to 3 years about the nature of the medical and pharmaceutical industries makes what you're doing so much more important. You're giving people the tools to take control of their health and with the products you offer, and it's the highest quality products you can find. But it's been a while since we talked to you. Could you remind the audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to start Ascent Nutrition?
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. So, I'll share a little bit of my story, and regardless if a person's interested in health and nutrition, I mean, I think most of your audience is for sure, but I think people will find a lot of value in what we're going to talk about, because there's just so many important things happening right now, as you talked about, and you continue to talk about that we really need to address as individuals and as a society. And, this is what you and I both do in terms of getting information out there to try to help people. So about 11 years ago, Chris, I was in school. I was at the university and I was studying health science, and I was really just wanting to kind of get into health and wellness, but I didn't know specifically what I wanted to do. And at that time, I had actually read a book that was very, very controversial. It was actually in a college class, and it was called Inventing the AIDS Virus, okay, written by Dr. Peter Duesberg. Now, it's a whole nother conversation about that topic, and I'm not, going to say whether it's true or not. And, I'm not, nothing we talk about, treating or curing anything, but that book, Chris, it literally opened my mind and opened the gate for me to start learning about a lot of different things, and for me to, most importantly, just start questioning. That was the biggest thing. When I learned that information, I started taking it in. The first thing that really hit me was, wow, if the healthcare system is really this messed up, and it looks like it is in terms of what I was seeing back then, I came to the realization that if I'm going to accept this information and, go forward with it, my life is going to change, because I know I'm going to have to rethink and re-question everything that I've learned up to this point. And so, I went head first and I just started diving deep and started learning a lot of different things. And, the health and wellness and nutrition has always been my sort of passion. And when I was in my last semester at school, Chris, I became so frustrated and upset with the system as it was, and still is in many ways, that I was in my last semester in my senior year, and it was about halfway through it, and it just reached a tipping point of I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I literally just stopped going to classes. I didn't drop out per se. Like, I didn't go to my TAs and say, hey, I'm done. What I did was I just stopped going to classes, and it just wasn't worth my time and my effort for what was going on, because I wasn't learning what I really wanted to learn, and it just wasn't stirring my soul in those sort of ways. So I did stop going. Now, a couple of years later, I did go back and finish, because I was able to set things up in a way where the classes that I took were actually going to benefit my life. And I was actually going to learn useful things that I could apply to life. And so when that happened, it just really started changing everything.
Right on, man. Now, with what we're seeing now from our medical industry, it's really opened a lot of eyes. Even myself, before a couple of years ago, I still had somewhat trust in the system and with pharmaceuticals. I was on pharmaceuticals even just a few years ago, and we're set up to think, and we're indoctrinated to think that we cannot be healthy and can't live healthy, productive lives without the medical industry and without pharmaceuticals. If we're sick, we got to go get a pill to take, or get on some kind of pharmaceutical that's going to manage whatever you have going on, instead of taking care of the real root problem. And the more I've learned about the faulty nature of the information from our medical industry, the more I've learned that the key to your health is simple. It's just taking care of yourself, taking the right vitamin supplements, eating the right nutrition, sunlight, exercise, well-being, and you don't have to have anything to do with this medical industry, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our bodies are so wise, and if we tap into that, and if we align with nature in a lot of different ways, we certainly can support our health in so many different areas. So I agree 100%.
Yeah, man, it's very sad to know that especially we were saying what could have happened with AIDS and bigger viruses, even like with cancer, with early detection, the things we're learning about the nature of some of the misleading nature of some of these things. It really makes people want to turn to alternative sources. Have you seen a shift in, I would say, most of the population that you've dealt with in their attitude towards the medical industry since 2020?
Absolutely. And, a couple of years ago, when all this stuff started happening, I was working at a health food store as a health coach, and I saw a lot of the people that I would see, a couple times a week or once a week or so, and I could see the shift happening in a lot of different ways for some people, not everyone, but the awakening was certainly speeding up. And we know this whole situation that's been happening has only served to wake more people up. And, definitely during that time, it was, kind of like the beginning of that. And now we're certainly seeing like an explosion in awareness and just more people questioning and looking for solutions that are actually going to help. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to be happy and healthy. And if something isn't giving us that health, or it's not fostering that environment of health, then what's a person to do? They're going to naturally look for something else.
Right, exactly. Now, Lance, I know we have a limited time with you, so I want to find out a bit about some of the products you offer at Ascent Nutrition. One of them is very surprising to me to find out about the benefits and what it's all about is pine pollen. I had no idea about this stuff before I started speaking with you about it, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear the incredible benefits of pine pollen that I didn't have any idea that this could be possible with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'll get into the benefits here in a moment, Chris, and I'll share just a brief little story of how the pine pollen actually came into existence for our company and why we're doing it in a very unique way and why we're doing it because it really is for the people. So a couple of years ago, when the company was started by my friend and I, we were standing in my kitchen and we were holding this pine pollen tincture, and I've got one right here. So this is our company, Ascent Nutrition. We were holding this and taking it, obviously not with our label yet, but I had been searching for nature's highest source of DHEA, which is a phytohormone, and people commonly use it for like brain health, mood support, and just overall well-being. They call it the youthing hormone. So it's a major deal. It's a very big deal. A lot of people have heard of DHEA, but pine pollen is nature's highest source. So I was looking for the source of that, the highest source of DHEA. I learned about pine pollen, and then I started taking it, started feeling benefits, and I really wanted to then bring this out. And my friend, we were standing in my kitchen taking this, and he took it for the first time. I think it was maybe the second time. And he could just feel the power and the aliveness of it because this is a raw living product that we have. And he said, this needs to be out here for more people. More people need to know about this. More people need to feel it. So let's do something about this. So he and I started Ascent Nutrition, and we've just moved forward very, very fast. And the word is spread incredibly well. There's a lot of people who, talk about the things that you're talking about, Chris, and that we both know about, that I work with and that we work with, and they're, talking about this stuff too. And it's literally just flying off our shelves. And I'm not even saying that as a marketing gimmick. I know it sounds cliche, but it truly, truly is. And part of that is because of scientists who have talked about the power of pine trees and what it can do for people. One of those people specifically, Judy Mikovits. Dr. Judy Mikovits is, a wonderful person who has spread so much good information. And, when she came out about the pine trees and the pine needles and just how the pine actually can help support us, it was a good explosion of interest for us, and it's just continued, and it's only going to continue because the word is getting out there more and more. So, going into the benefits, Chris, and like what actually is pine pollen. So some people are asking, well, this is all really interesting, but what is pine pollen? Obviously, it's the pollen that comes from pine trees, but how does that happen? How does it work? So right now, as you and I are talking, Chris, this is early May in 2022, and this is like the harvest season of pine pollen. So I'm just going to show this short little clip, and then I'll kind of talk about what it is. Sure. So you can see this tree that's getting cut down, and the pollen falls.
Wow.
And you can see, so this clip is only 13 seconds long. It's about to end. And you can see that that cloud dust of pollen is still in the air, and it's probably going to hang there for another 20, 30 seconds. That's how fine this stuff is. Okay. So what actually is the pine pollen? It's a superfood, truly, and that word is really much, much overused in this industry. But pine pollen really is, because it has 200 different nutrients in it that the body can use, and it is nature's highest source of these phytohormones. So, the top benefits, just in short, and we'll kind of go over this, briefly as we go on, is that this supports healthy testosterone levels for men, healthy estrogen and testosterone levels for women, because, men and women need both. It's just different ratios respectively. Brain health, detoxification, cardiovascular support, endocrine function, so forth. Traditional Chinese medicine, Chris, has been using pine pollen for at least, 2,000, 3,000 years, probably longer. And they have it in their traditional Chinese medicine repertoire. So it's known about, and it has been known about, but it's just sort of making its way into the awareness of us here in the West. And, this is what we have really wanted to do, is showcase what the pine trees are doing.
Now you made a good point about superfoods. Even me, I'm like, oh, superfood, but what the hell does that really mean? It has 200 ingredients. I mean, what does qualifies something to be a superfood?
Okay, so the technical definition, it's loosely described by different people in different ways. I'll just say in general, how they classify a superfood is if it has a certain range of nutrients or a certain number of nutrients that is known to actually benefit the body, in different ways. Blueberries, as an example, you can type in blueberries as a superfood. There's probably hundreds of different articles. Now, absolutely, blueberries are amazing and they help us in so many different ways. But is it a superfood? What does a superfood actually mean? So that's why I say it's kind of a loose definition for many people in the health and wellness space. But if you've got something that has literally 200 different nutrients in it that the body can use and recognizes, that certainly qualifies as one for sure. So going into this a little bit more with these phytohormones, is they are bioidentical to our human hormones. And they can elicit beneficial effects in the endocrine system and throughout the body, but it will do it in a way where it's not like you're taking a synthetic version of a hormone, because that can have downstream effects months or years later on if a person is continually taking that stuff. So with pine pollen, the body recognizes what it is. It's nearly identical to that chemical structure, but it will elicit the same effects. So it's very interesting how nature can do that and how it has created these compounds that are so unique and so just fine-tuned for the body.
Right. I was just thinking that, Mother Nature puts all these plants and plant medicines here that are super specific to certain things. It's pretty amazing to think that this couldn't be some kind of, that this is all random, that this is occurring. It's fascinating.
Right. And Chris, we actually share some of our DNA in common with pine trees. Very, very interesting. And so they help support us because of the nutrients that they're creating and that DNA sequences within it. It's partly connected to us humans as well, or we share some of the same DNA with it. So in other words, we're hardwired to actually benefit from pine trees, some of the different compounds within it. The pine needles, the pine bark, the pine pollen. This is what this is. And so these phytoandrogens or these phytohormones will support libido, support healthy reproductive system, so forth. And I'll go into that, but there's one little interesting thing that I want to showcase here for people that can see this. I'm pulling up a little pine pollen grain, and then these two little air sacs around it is what actually carries that pollen grain with the wind. Okay. Or the wind carries it with those air sacs. Now, this picture to the right, this is the moment when that grain bursts through and creates its anabolic growth to where it's actually, becoming the mature pollen grain that it is. Okay. And so if you can see this, you can see, this looks like a male reproductive part. It looks like a penis.
Right.
And that to me showcases what the law of, or the doctrine of signatures says, which is you can see things in nature that will benefit the human body. So everyone has seen the memes or the photos of, you cut a tomato in half and it kind of looks like a heart. A carrot kind of looks like the eye, so forth. This, when it has this anabolic growth phase, I mean, it looks like a male reproductive part, and it actually
Or
does
it kind of
benefit.
looks like a sperm too, in a way.
Exactly, it does. And um, for women, it's actually been shown to help support women who have a hard time having an orgasm. And the reason is because it has L-DOPA in it. And that's been shown, or it has phenylalanine, which is a precursor to the dopamine, and then it has the L-DOPA right there. And that's showing that it's supporting, or it has been shown to support an orgasm for women. Now, this isn't all going to be about sex and things like that, but it is an important topic because the libido enhancing or libido supporting aspect of pine pollen is very well known and, very well experienced by many people as well.
Yeah, and right now, this day and age, people just are running to the blue pill, the pharmaceutical, if they're having any problems in that area, and not going, like I said earlier, to the source, the real source of the problem, and using natural things that can probably help 1,000 times better than any pharmaceutical in the long run.
Right. And so, there's this spiritual sort of concept to this too. Like, there's so many incredible nutrients, but let's look at the pine tree and the pine cone from like a 40,000 foot view. So you got the pine cones on those trees, and that's where the pollen is, inside of those cones. Okay. And you can see the statue here, the Fontana della Pigna at the Vatican. Clearly it's a beautiful pine cone, and there's a lot of different interpretations of why the Vatican has it there and what it means and what they're trying to tell people, and that a whole nother conversation in and of itself. But to me, one thing for sure, like I know you've talked about and we've even discussed, Chris, is that the power of the pineal gland is well known by the church. And it's well known by the audience that listens to your shows. And so let's take that concept of the pineal gland. People call it the third eye, the seat of the soul, but it kind of looks like a pine cone. And what's interesting is that the pine pollen will support the endocrine system, but also the brain and the whole hormonal system in the body. And specifically, it's helping to actually regulate that hormone system, and with melatonin. Okay. Melatonin is regulating the light and dark cycles, morning, nighttime, so forth. That's due to melatonin. And so if you have a glandular system or an endocrine system, or, the HPA axis in the brain working well and working normally as it should, then you can regulate, good supportive hormonal function.
Right on, man. That's so interesting, especially when you look at the aspects of the pineal gland and the possible hidden consciousness abilities that could be unlocked if we could find, the true powers and awaken this area of the brain again.
Absolutely. And going back, Chris, to kind of how my story tied into the pine pollen is, I was looking for the highest source of DHEA in nature. What's the highest source of it? That's what I was looking for. Found the pine pollen, and again, started using it and feeling benefits. But going into the DHEA a little bit more and talking about consciousness and mindset and mental health, is that there was a study published in Nature talking about DHEA, and they showed that it actually enhances the connectivity between the amygdala and the hippocampus. And in short, this particular study showed that DHEA actually reduced the activity in regions associated with the generation of negative emotions, and then enhance the activity in regions of the brain linked to healthy regulatory processes. So what that means is that DHEA has been shown to support a healthy response to, let's say, stress or some sort of negative emotion in a way where regions in the brain, the activity is lowered when it's a stressful, like sort of negative emotion, and it's enhanced in regions in the brain to where we can regulate those emotions and regulate that stuff, those energies in that heavy, dense emotion in healthier ways. So it's very interesting. And, that study was published in Nature, and Nature is definitely one of the more respected journals out there. There's good information in there. I'm sure there's, some misinformation in all these journals, but nonetheless, this was, a very good study that was conducted and showed some very cool things with DHEA. And there's so many other studies out there published on DHEA that, this is generally accepted by medical doctors, by the scientists, by practitioners, that DHEA is commonly known to just support healthy mood, muscle strength, immune system, and outlook overall.
Yeah, that's great. The pine pollen is also a great source of antioxidants as well. Am I right?
Yeah. There's lots of different ones in there. SOD in particular, superoxide dismutase, that is a very fundamental free radical scavenger that's in the body, and it basically will reduce it will quench the free radicals that are generated from just normal respiration. So you and I were sitting here breathing, the people who are listening to us, we're all sitting here breathing, and just us existing, we are automatically creating free radicals through the oxygen that we breathe. Okay. And SOD is let's say the rate limiting factor of how do those oxygen radicals get quenched. SOD is one of the main benefactors in that, to support the quenching of those free radicals. So it's very interesting stuff. Like, it goes to the fundamental level within our body of what is cellular health and what is cellular longevity. And, I show this little clip here for those that can't see it. It's just a beautiful panoramic view showing the pine trees kind of looking up at them. And you can see how tall and majestic and incredible that they are. Yeah. And again, kind of going in the spiritual side of the more, metaphysical side of this, is that if you think about the pine trees, all the elements that they're battling year round, specifically in the winter, the wind, the rain, the sun, the harsh ice, things like that. These pine trees, they have to protect themselves. They need to live. They want to live. So they create these compounds that protect them. And then when we humans consume them, we get the benefits of those different nutrients. And again, 200 different nutrients in the pine pollen.
Man, that's great.
So, there are different companies out there selling pine pollen, but we wanted to truly stand out from everyone else, not just in saying we're the best because we say we are. We wanted to back it so that we could authentically state that we have the most unique pine pollen product out there. And we definitely do, because we intentionally sought that so we could authentically make these statements. And the reason why, Chris, there's multiple reasons, but first, most companies are sourcing their pine pollen from China, and that's not a bad thing in and of itself. Just because something comes from China doesn't mean it's bad, but we know there's a lot of pollution there. It's a long ways to ship a raw material to make sure it's still going to be living and raw and vibrant. So most companies are getting theirs from China. We source ours from remote Canadian forests, and we work with some naturopaths and very good people up in Canada who are doing this the right way, harvesting with respect to nature, not over harvesting. You can't really over harvest in general. In certain spots, you certainly can. But all of that is known. It's all incorporated into what we do. And this is just part of it. Secondly, We keep our product raw, living, and alive. We want the vibrancy of that to be off the charts, and we want people to feel it. We want these compounds as nature creates them. Nature knows what the body needs, so we just go to nature for that. People will sometimes see in the pine pollen field is that, or the industry, there's something called cracked cell wall. It's a huge marketing gimmick that's used to say that cracked cell wall pine pollen is better, but it's actually not. And the reason is because when you crack those cell walls, Chris, you then immediately expose it to oxygen. And then what happens? It starts oxidizing, meaning those nutrients start losing their vibrancy. They're actually consumed by free radicals, just what we were talking about. So what we do is we don't crack it. We keep it whole, raw, and alive. And we just simply have a unique extraction method that no one else is doing in this industry. So you can see these photos here. The bottom bucket is more of like a brownish, darkish color, where these top two buckets is this bright golden yellow color.
Yeah.
And those two golden ones, that's our product.
That's great.
So yeah, like you can just see the life force in that. I mean, but the caption below the image is, what would you prefer?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, man, that is beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. And so, that's what we do. On the tincture, Chris, we've got, 33 5-star reviews. They're all real too, by the way. And some interesting little fact for people to know. I'm going to tell a secret that a lot of companies don't want people to know, but I'm going to openly and happily spill the beans on this. Many, and I'll say most supplement companies are buying fake reviews on their products. And this is information coming from, people who have been in this industry for, I've been in this industry for about 10 years, but people that have been even longer, and people who are running Google ads, doing the stuff on the back end. And, they're telling me, I mean, this is common practice in the supplement industry. And how crappy is that? You know what I mean? Like I was truly disheartened to hear that, because it's like you guys are starting these companies to try to help people, and then you're buying fake reviews.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not surprising to me. But man, that's great what you're doing here. Could you tell the audience just the difference between the pine pollen tincture and the powder?
Yeah, definitely. So the powder, that's just as is. And that you can consume just by itself. There's not really much taste to it. You can consume it by itself, put it in smoothies, water, milk, juice. You can mix it in with food as well. Ice cream, yogurt. The uses are truly unlimited. And that is going to give you, all those nutrients that we've talked about in the powder form. And this is more of like, you want to use this on your food or mix it with food to just take it and have a cool, fun experience with it. And the tincture is more of, you're going to get a little bit stronger effect in terms of the phytohormone aspect, because once those phytohormones get underneath the tongue, it'll get directly in the bloodstream. So it's just a quicker delivery method for those nutrients. And, people like them both. Both have their advantages. There's no disadvantages really either way. It just kind of really depends what a person prefers. Taking both, and again, this is not a marketing statement, but taking both really will maximize the effects. But it's up to a person what their preferences are.
Right on. Well, Lance, I know you have limited time today. Is there anything else we should say about pine pollen before we move on?
No, well, yes. The last thing I'll say is we truly sell out very fast, Chris, and we just got some more in recently. And so I'll say that if a person's interested, you would definitely want to take a look at them sooner rather than later, because, you know, we are going to be selling out soon. We do have more coming in continually, but the point is, if a person wants them or they're interested now, now is really the best time to act on it, because we have many people that I do these shows with, and, you know, we move a lot of them very fast because the word's spreading. People know and feel the effects. Like, you can go read those reviews, and I mean, it's right there. You can see what people are feeling, why they like it, why they keep buying it, and why they keep, you know, sharing it with their friends and family.
Right on, man. And Ascent Nutrition has many fine products to choose from. Maybe to close out, we could just give the audience a little hint about something else, maybe algae oil.
Yes, yes, and I'll share that here, Chris. So we just launched this, and believe it or not, this is actually selling even better than the pine pollen. I think there's different reasons, but it's okay. A person thinks of DHA, and that's different than DHEA. This DHA is, you know, people will equate it to fish or fish oil, but what happens, Chris, is the fish eat the algae, and the algae actually has the DHA and the EPA. And so we just go straight to the source. You know, like, we want, again, we want to have the most unique thing out there for this, you know, specific sector within the industry. And this is what we're doing. We're doing a water extraction of the algae oil. No other company, you know, these other major companies that are doing the algae oil, omega-3s, they're using hexane to extract. And so they're actually altering the actual, the makeup of the algae, and they have to mix in other ingredients that really don't need to be in there. And then they will market it as, well, you're getting this, and so you're going to get a little bit of benefit of this. There's such a small amount of it, and you literally don't even need it, that they just, again, take it and they market it and they spin it. So we're going straight to the source, the algae, to offer what the body needs for DHA. So in short, DHA, brain health, nervous system health, eye health, cognitive health, you know, with that, it's going to support healthy longevity of the cells. It supports the healthy size of the telomeres. A lot of people know about telomeres and why you want long telomeres. DHA is actually a component of that and supports the telomere size. So there's so many more things to it, man. I mean, we can do another show at some point about it.
Yeah.
But the point is, DHA is actually a compound that we need to consume, and most people will get it from fish. But to get the adequate levels to actually really support a proper omega-3 to 6 balance, and also to really support the brain and nervous system, you need about what's been shown, about 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of DHA per day. And so over a week's time, if you're eating, let's say, salmon, the highest fish source of DHA, you would have to consume 5.6 to 11.2 servings of salmon per week just to get those dosages. Now, some people do that. That's fine. Most people don't eat that amount. And so how can we get that amount? How can we go up to that without, you know, stuffing ourselves with salmon or other fish if we don't really like that? The easy way is literally just supplement with the cleanest product out there. It's straight algae oil mixed with vitamin E as the preservative. That's it. And, you know, no contamination. We grow these in tanks, not outdoors like other companies. Pure, clean, just really incredible stuff. And it does tie into quantum processes happening in the brain. It's a whole nother topic, but DHA actually facilitates the movement of electrons, because DHA it's literally like a converter of energy. So it can take photons in through the eyes. So I'll step back one moment. DHA is a needed component within neurons and within the eyes. Okay. Sperm as well. So we have to consume the DHA. It's a structural component, a literal component of the neurons in the brain, the nervous system, the eyes. And it just really helps in a lot of ways. And so when you get those levels, you can support yourself in those different ways.
Awesome. This is fantastic information, Lance. I love what you're doing. The products are great. If people would like to order, they go to Go Ascent Nutrition, and please use coupon code FKN to get your 10% off. And like you said, we're going to be doing some more talking as we go along here, Lance, and I look forward to working with you and doing this again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. And yeah, thank you, everyone. It's really an honor to bring these things out. This is what I've been working on for many years, and now we've got a great team that's helping, and we've got many exciting things coming, things that are really going to blow people's minds. And I say that humbly and authentically, because there's things that we're doing behind the scenes to get the good stuff out to the people, because we know about the situation that's happened and people need and want help. And so we're bringing these things out to help people.
Excellent, man. I can't wait. Well, Lance, thank you so much, and we'll definitely be doing this again soon.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Till next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We're having our gathering this weekend, so I will not have a show tomorrow, but we'll be back Sunday with Day Zero, and we'll see you then.